Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy, the Strongest Wizard, and today we're going to be covering a brand new OP03 deck profile, and this one's a bit special to me. Why? Well, that's because I lost all my friends playing this deck. Yes, it doesn't really help that I didn't have any to begin with, but you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about my girl, NAMI. This deck is extremely polarizing to play. Either you hate her or you love her, and honestly, I kind of love her. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so getting things started here, we have our NAMI deck, and what's really important is that this is the first time ever that in the One Piece card game where we have a new condition of way to win, and that's actually NAMI being able to mill herself out. If you mill yourself out with the NAMI on either turn, you automatically win the game. That is the ability, as well as that when she has one Dawn attached to her and your opponent takes damage with her, you trash one card from the top of your deck to your trash, of course. So yeah, very, very interesting. It's actually an extremely fun leader. It's brand new, and what's really cool about this is that it kind of links up, I think, to the anime and to the manga. You know, Nami's never been a very powerful character in the show, but she always wins against her opponents, and she usually wins by some other means, you know, whether she has help or for whatever reason something happens. And this is kind of cool because it's kind of, you know, you're winning because of something else. Also, quick shout out to my playmat, the Katakuri playmat that I now have for sale on my website. So if you want one of those, check out my website. So getting things started here, we have an extremely heavy event-based deck. And before I go into this, this is not the you know, the perfect deck list by any means. If anything, it's a great way to start, try things around, see what you enjoy and what you don't. And the first card that we're going to be going over is actually a 4 of, and that's actually going to be Usopp's Rubber Band. It's a 1-cost blue card, of course, with a trigger. Counter up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 2k during this battle. Then you may trash the top card of your deck. A really great way to start trashing cards from your deck is also just giving it a plus 2 with 1 cost is really great. And then the trigger is you trash 1 card at the top of your deck to your trash, which is very, very clutch when it happens in life. You actually really want to see that ability at the end of the game. Next is 4 copies of Gum Gum Gavel. This card is actually really good too. All these cards are super good. It's a 1-cost counter. You may trash 1 card from your hand and up to one of your leader. So it's not characters, actually. I learned this the hard way. It's not, doesn't work for characters. It only works for NAMI herself. You gain 4k. Then you trash 1 card from your hand. Then you trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. So plus 4k with the idea of you trashing 1 card from your hand. And honestly, there's actually a lot of cards in this deck that you want to trash just because they're pretty useless in hand most of the time. So it actually works out really, really well. And being 1 cost, you can't really complain. Next card here is we have 4 copies of Impel Down All-Stars. And with this card here, you never play from hand because NAMI is not an Impel Down card. So the main ability doesn't even work at all. It's actually the trigger, and the trigger is you just draw 2 cards. Really easy way for you to hit it. Whenever you see that coming off life, you always trigger. Unless you need something to trash off of the Gum Gum Gavel card, the Gum Gum Giant Gavel card. So very, very good. Regardless, I recommend 4 copies no matter what. Then I say 4 copies of Desert Spada, 1 cost. You check the top 3 cards of your deck to reorganize them in any way, and then you gain plus 2k to a character or leader. Very, very good. Trigger ability, draw 2 cards, trash 1 card from your hand. Next, we actually have 3 copies of Mr. 1. Interesting enough, I think 4 copies might be a bit too much, but pretty much what Mr. 1 does is when you hard play him, you get to add up to 1 blue cost event card from your trash and add it back to your hand. So essentially you're able to recycle Impel Down Stars, Gum Gum Gavel, and then of course the Usopp's Rubber Band. And honestly, you're only going to be using these 2 with that ability. You could also do Spada. Forgot about Spada. That's also a possibility. Next card here, we have 2 copies did that in a very bad way. 2 copies of Buggy. Buggy is just a searcher card that's actually allows you to pull another card from your deck, being able to just, you know, mill yourself a bit faster. You have a good amount of targets here as well. You have Mr. 1 as a target, Impel Downstars, Gungam Gavel is not a target, but we have some more later down the road that you'll see here. Next card we have is Kaya. Kaya is a really good card. 2k counter from hand. 1 cost, of course. On play, you draw 2 cards, trash 2 cards from your hand. Really good. Yeah, there's really not much to say here. Next is we have 1 copy of Nojiko. Nojiko is a 2 cost character, 1k counter. On play, if your leader has Nami in its name, return one of your opponent's cards with 5 cost or less. This is really good because you can return cards like Law or, you know, really anything you really need to just help you survive another turn. Next card here, we have 2 copies of Brickfist. This I think card is pretty good. You're able to on main return 1 character with a 4 cost or less back to this owner's hand, and trigger you get to activate main. This is really good because in case your opponent is pressuring you and you need to back them off, let them cool down a bit, you can bounce their characters, but also more importantly, you can also bounce your own characters. So in case you need Kaya to actually replay her ability because you're so close to winning, or if you need Mr. 1 to pull yourself another some more discard, like, you know, Usopp's rubber band for the counter plus the discard, very helpful. Just really you know, multiple use, honestly. Next is 3 copies of Love Beam, and you're probably thinking to yourself, why do you only have 3 copies of this card? This card is absolutely busted, giving your leader and character plus 4k plus essentially a draw. Well, that's just because I can't find my 4th one. If I had a 4th one, I promise you I would be playing it. And honestly, I'll tell you right now, I'd probably cut down at Mr. 1 and add another Love. But yes, that is that. Next is we have 4 copies of Overheat. Overheat being a really good card it's a 2 cost, gives you plus 4. And you can bounce a 3 cost or lower. Also really good for any of your characters in case you need to bounce another 5. Kaya, get another surge off the Buggy or Mr. 1. Very good. Next card is we have a brand new card, and that's Sanji's Peel Off. 3 cost, main, draw 2 cards. Trigger, activate main. Very good card in case you go turn 1. Just being able to draw more cards. Drawing 2 cards is a lot of cards, honestly, so definitely really helps you out. Next card is Deathwing at 4. This is a bit steep, but honestly, giving your characters or your leaders plus 6k is extremely powerful, and on top of the fact that you can actually draw 2 cards, is very good. And trigger, being able to bounce a 7 cost is pretty insane. A lot of targets that are 7 cost or less, so very helpful. On top of the fact that he's also a target for Buggy. So currently we have the Deathwing, as well as the Brickfist, as well as the Mr. 1, and then the Impel Downstars. So those are all targets for Buggy. Next is we have Bellemere. Bellemere is actually a really good brand new card. It's a 4 cost 5k 1k counter. When you have 1 Dawn attached to her and you deal damage to your opponent's life, you get to trash 7 cards on the top of your deck, and then on KO you may trash 3 cards from the top of your deck. So even if you play her out and she never gets to attack and she just dies, that's fine. You essentially were able to mill 3 cards on top of your deck for 4 cost, which is honestly pretty good. On top of the fact that if this ever hits, 7 cards from your deck is a lot of cards, so actually very good. Last but not least, we have Zeph. Zeph, we have 4 copies here, 5 cost, 6k power, 1k counter. When you have 1 Dawn attached to him, you're actually able to do mill 7 cards. So essentially the same ability as Bellemere, but he has an on-play ability where you can return 1 character with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. Now that's also, you know, your opponent's or yours, and you get to trash 2 cards on top of your deck. So not only are you able to bounce Kaya or Buggy or, you know, Mr. 1 or any card that you want that's 3 cost or less, you're also able to trash top 2 cards and or, you know, target one of your opponent's characters. So in case you need to bounce, I don't know, something like, you know, anything that's 3 costs or lower, it works. Now, this is the deck list. I have had pretty good amount of success with it. I'm honestly pretty confident in it, at least as a core base build. Now, there's 2 ways you can build Nami. This way is you're never attacking. Every now and then you might swing with Belmir or Zeph just to apply that pressure, just so that they can not kill you and kill these characters, or in case they don't have any blockers. But for the most part, with this build of Nami, you never attack. Ever. You don't ever want to give your opponents more cards in their hand so that they can kill you faster or beat you faster. You want to slowly drain them out. And honestly, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I haven't done too much testing with the full aggression attacking, you know, running like cards like Soga King. Also, if you notice, this deck doesn't have any blockers, because that's just because we run a ton of event cards, cards that can get you out of situations. And honestly, too, with the bottom end blockers, it's so easy to get removed of. Like there's Vistas, and there's when Whitebeard gets out, that's another target. And yeah, I guess we can talk about some of the tech choices here. You could also run, like I was saying, Soga King, more of an aggressive build, but you could also run the 7 cost Crocodile. That card being, when you attach a Dawn to him, all of your event cards cost 1 less, which is really good. It was in my initial build. You're playing Spada for free, Rubber Band for free. The issue is that when you're at 7 Dawn, 8 Dawn already, you don't have time to drop Croc. At least I never did. In all my testing, it was just way too late. I was more worried about dying at that point, or how to survive the next few turns, or how to get mill the rest of my cards of my deck, than to, it's more of like a win more card kind of. But that's just my personal opinion. If you guys have more success with it, please let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, that's actually going to be it for the deck profile. I really do appreciate it. And let me know in the comment section below if you think I'm trash for running this deck, or if you think this deck is absolute trash, or you actually really love it. I'd love to know your thoughts. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned, because I have a ton of new OP03 content coming out soon. See ya!